Hi everyone, and welcome to this new video. In this video we will be recreating a dress from the 1973 film Ludwig, designed by Piero Tosi, who is one of the great costume designers of the 20th century. You just need to look at his work in the 1963 film The Leopard to see how amazing his work is. For this dress I've decided to make a dress that was worn by Romy Schneider as the Empress Elizabeth of Austria in Ludwig. She is also an actress who is very identified with playing this character. This project was led by the fact that I had bought these fabrics a couple of years ago without having a project in mind, but then I suddenly realised that they fitted with this dress, so that was the driving force for this project. I hope you enjoy seeing me make this dress, and I'll see you at the end with the finished costume. I start by cutting out the skirt in silk and lining. I then sew the skirt panels together. Here I am cutting out the skirt trim. I make this into bias binding. Then sew the bands onto the bottom of the skirt. I sew the skirt onto the waistband and cover it with a strip of silk. The hem is sewn up using a herringbone stitch. I then move on to cutting out the bodice. Here I am sketching out all of the motifs. Once I'm happy with how they look, I draw them out using a black pen. I cut out the pattern pieces in calico and the silk. Here I am drawing out the motifs onto bonderweb. I iron these onto the black silk fabric. I then cut out the motifs and iron them onto the pattern pieces. Next I sew them on. Then I couch down the embroidery floss onto the motifs. I sew on the shoulder and back seam detailing. I machine the darts and shoulder seams together. Here I've placed the bias around the armhole. I'll sew it on around the outer edge. Once that is done, I sew the side seams together, and then sew the peplum onto the waist. I sew the placket into the centre front and sew the allowance down by hand using the herringbone stitch. I then move on to cutting and making the collar. I hand sew on the detailing around the edge and then sew the collar onto the bodice. Finally, I cut out the sleeves. I sew the back seam and then apply the decoration. The cuff is finished with bias binding. I then sew the front sleeve seam together. The belt is made of black silk with applied black braid and lined in the magenta silk. And here's the finished dress. I think she's turned out incredibly well. This project turned out to be a lot more challenging and complicated than I first thought it was when I first started doing it and decided to do it. But I'm glad I took on that challenge, and I'm very, very happy with the outcome. I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting the channel, as always. And if you would like to support me on Patreon, I will leave a link in the description below. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon with a new project.